This is a video that's just a little bit of an extra that nobody realistically asked for, but I personally am a gearhead, or like, I like technology, is maybe a better way to state it. And the day after this video goes live, I'll be heading over to Gamescom and DevCon to do like 5 days of conference and creating videos. Like there should be like, I think 8 or 9 videos that are planned right now in a 5-day period. And I figured, hey, I generally don't do that many like how to YouTube videos. I've done like one for like game dev specific, but I figured I want to talk a bit more about how have I built up all of the technology, because often people are like, hey, what camera should I use? Does my audio even matter? Can I use my webcam? Can I use my phone? All of that. And I just want to walk you through all of the equipment I have. I have 2 cases here with like equipment, and then I have also my backpack that is also like packed up already. And I just want to go through it basically and do a little bit of a show and tell of what runs the Bite Me Games YouTube channel tech-wise. I don't have an affinity for technology. You do not need all of this basically to run a game dev YouTube channel. It's just something that I like. I'll talk you through all of the considerations because none of this is sponsored. I just bought this all for fun, or like not for fun, but just to make these videos hopefully a little better. And I think the first thing that I'm gonna start with is this. This is the main camera that we use. So I'm actually recording this on our old camera, which I'll insert some footage of. Maybe I'll talk about that one first. It's a Lumix. I bought it secondhand for 250 euros. It's a Micro Four Thirds camera. I forgot the name. I'll put it up here somewhere. But the camera, it's what we used the first year basically that Bite Me Games existed. Like the first year of videos, I used that because this was an old camera that I once bought because I wanted to get into photography or whatever, but it does 4K. I firmware hacked it to do 30 FPS instead of just 25. It's got a basic kit lens on it, and it's crisp images if it's in focus. That's the big problem. The autofocus is horrible. So maybe throughout this video, the autofocus will also be horrible. I hope not, but that's the old camera. I've put some footage of it, but this is our main camera. It's the Sony ZV-1. It's a very small, like point and shoot style camera with like a little flippy display. If you're like a vlogger and you can like zoom in on it. I bought this. I never really planned on buying this, but I bought this because once again, you'll see a trend here. I'm someone who loves a good deal. I bought this when I was in Japan, and I was originally not planning on making videos in Japan really in general. I was planning to record everything with my phone, but then I was like, what the hell? I'm going to some conferences. This is where I filmed like some Akihabara game event. I'll put up some B-roll footage of it. And I was like, okay, actually I do kind of want to do this with not just my phone. And I went into like a Japanese secondhand camera store because I knew secondhand in Japan is basically brand new. And I bought this for 380 euros, like converted. Normally this is new about 800, and then it was like locked to Japanese only, but with some like, once again, firmware hacking, I unlocked it to international. It's got 4K, 30 FPS and things like that. I really like this camera. It's got good quality. Also for pictures, it's really nice. I think this is generally a really solid camera. If you're doing anything YouTube-wise, I think this is a good sweet spot. There's like a ZV Mark II version, like the ZV-1 II. Honestly, this one is still just as good. There's no really reason to upgrade. Like the lens is a little bit different for like if you're doing vlogging style, but anything else, it's not really much of an upgrade. So I like this. What came included with it, that was part of the 800 euros as well, is this little thing. It's a like remote and tripod mint specifically for the Sony ZV-1. Once again, this was part of that used thing to buy. It's handy. I use it sometimes to just remotely start my recordings because it's like a little button. I can zoom in and out. Or you can use it as like a grip to like screw this on and then do your vlog stuff. The problem is if you're recording your vlogs at 4K, the like built-in stabilization isn't great, but yeah, you got this basic thing. You can like, what's up sisters? So this is pretty good. Another advantage is it's a little tripod. So it's very versatile and it just uses a regular thread mount. So I like this. This is a main camera. I've been considering like, because it's been over a year that I've been using this. Sometimes I wonder like, hey, maybe I should need a second like smaller compact-ish camera. Because once again, the Lumix I'm recording with, this is like, it's not a full frame camera, but it's like a chunky boy and it's too heavy to realistically take with me to places. This is so small and compact, I like it. I've been looking to like some like upgrades, such as for example, I think the Lumix S9, the Sony A7C Mark II, I think is it. But I just can't justify it because those are cameras that start at like 2,000 euros for just the body, or like the body and the kit lens. And they're not as good. The main problem that I have with this camera, and it's the only problem really with this camera, is that it overheats when recording at 4K for longer than 20-25 minutes or something, which I guess understandable because it's so small. If you run it at 1080p, there's no problem. That's also why I'm recording this not on this video because I'm expecting the recording for this to be quite long. So this is gonna be just the second one. The bigger camera, I use the Lumix because it has a bigger frame. It doesn't overheat basically, even when recording at 4K. That's the only thing I wish this thing didn't do, overheat, but you just need a bigger body for that. And even then, most cameras still overheat when recording 4K for longer periods of time. Then let's take a look. What next? Let's talk about these. This is microphones. I'll unpack them in a second. This is the Rode Wireless Go 2. So these are actually not the ones that I'm using right now, but these are the ones that we started our YouTube channel. And we made our first video using the built-in audio of the camera I'm recording this on right now. And then I was like, okay, no, I'm gonna take this serious. I think YouTube, at the end of the day, the camera doesn't matter as much as the sound. These things are great. They're little lavalier mics. You've probably seen them before. So the way it works is, it's a system where you get one receiver, which you can slot in on top of your main camera, and then there's a little cable you connect to go into it, so like the audio is synced. And you have two of these little things. These are the receivers, or like, no, these are the transmitters, and you can like clip them on your shirt. You can just hold them up for you, or you can get one of these, which is like a lavalier mic. You've probably seen it. It's like, you know, the little tiny mic that some people, they like don't use it as a clip-on mic, but they're just like, hello everybody, this is my YouTube channel, for like added comedic effect. I just clip them on. This is a different one. I'll talk to you about this one in a second. These are what we started the YouTube channel with, and they're honestly perfectly fine. There was only one real reason why I ended up getting a different version of these, because I'll talk to that in a second. These are really good. I think I paid 250 euros. Like, it's somewhat expensive for audio. They have cheaper versions if you need only one microphone, like the Rode Wireless Me, I think it is, which is basically just one of these and then one of the receivers, and that's it. You don't get the extra one. I wanted the one for two because often I make videos with Thomas, for example. I wanted to have 2 points of high quality audio recording. There's like built-in storage on it, so I can just export the WAV files and put them in my Premiere Pro and synchronize, and it's really good. So these honestly are really good. I think, once again, audio matters more than video when you're making a YouTube channel. Let me put these away. And if you're like, hey, I only have money for one, don't get the camera, use your phone, but get actual microphones. I think that's a much better investment to make. What else do we have? Maybe speaking of microphones, one thing that actually comes, oh, I put it away, didn't I? Yeah. Let me pull it back, is I got this little thing. It's just like a piece of metal that you can take your microphone, and there's like a little clip here at the back. You can just clip it on here. Voila, you now have a microphone where you can be like, hey, what is your top tip for game development or whatever? You can just shove it in the other person's mouth and use that for interviews. Once again, this is a really solid approach if you have those occasional like going out. Like I always cringe when, you know, you see those TikTok influencers or gym influencers who use this, and technically, yeah, the audio quality isn't different, but it just feels better to do this instead of having to hold this. This is very pedantic, I guess, and doesn't really matter, but the handle is like 15 euros or whatever. It's a really nice thing. I like the Rode products in general. They're a bit pricey, but they are good. But honestly, everything that's like camera equipment is pricey but good. Another one to get is a little extra tripod. So you never have too many tripods. I have one for the camera here. And then another one, which ties into this one, if you're making videos, this is something that can be really handy. Let me see if it's charged. Is one of these, which is like a little light thing, so I can like add some extra light to me. And then what I do is I just put it on here. And you can screw it on, and now I can put it here. I can easily adjust it, and now I have better lighting. Of course, it's not perfect, but you can play with the color balance and all of that. So especially if you are maybe recording in darker places, these are very good. I think I paid, this is like an Anduer W140 RGB. So what I can do is like, you can change the color mode and things like that. It's really cool, but it's like 35 euros. I think you just get them on Amazon basically. It has like a whole bunch of scenes. Okay, but I'm just gonna use regular white. I use this often if I feel like the scene is a little bit too dark. I can just keep using it here. What else do I have in this case? I have an extra lens for the camera I'm recording this with now, because it came with a kit lens, but I also want to do some photography. So this is a 25mm like 4/3 prime lens. It's good, it takes pretty crisp pictures, but once again, not really related to YouTube. And then I just have some like charger and batteries. Charger and batteries, you can never have too much of it. And that's basically this case. Maybe talk a little bit a second about why do I have these chunky boys. Basically, if you spend so much money on camera equipment, you want to keep it protected. Like each of these cases is like over 1,000 euros in it, so I feel like it's worth it to spend, like, I think these cases, they're like fake Pille cases that I bought off like some German site. They're like 40 euros each or 60 euros each, and you just cut out the foam in the order you want. It's easy to transport because I can just load the 2 of them into my car whenever I'm going somewhere, and I have all of my equipment with me, and I just have the peace of mind of knowing everything is safe. What else do we have here? This is maybe a bit of a weird one, and honestly, this is one of those things where I love a deal. This is my little drone that I have. It's a DJI Mini 3 Pro, I think. Yeah, so I got a drone. This is, I've used a little bit of the footage in some of the Bite Me videos. There's like this series that I do where it's like called Marnix Climbs a Mountain and talks about game dev. This was especially a video style that I did about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, when I'm in Japan, basically, because there's no mountains in Belgium. It allows for some cool B-roll shots. It's pretty cool. This is one of those like 249 grams, including the battery. I have the batteries in the case here as well, where, you know, you just plug it in and you don't need a license to fly these, which is really nice. Camera is really good. One thing that I did get, if you do get a drone, is one of these. It's a pack of, let me see if I can zoom in on it. These are like ND filters. So what ND filters are, if you have no idea, it's basically if you take pictures outside, the sunlight is too bright and your images very easily get like blown out and way too bright. So putting an ND filter on it goes from like 4 to 1,000 basically, will block out the sun. It's like a polarizer. No, it's not a polarizer. Don't kill me, camera nerds. Basically, your pictures look better, or like your video looks better in bright sunlight. So that's really good. And then, yeah, I have the remote for it as well, because this is one with like the screen built in. It's handy. Honestly, this was just one of those purchases I made for myself because I bought this used as a really good deal as well. I think I paid 550 euros of it. I love scouring like second-hand sites basically. And then once again, I have more batteries. I have 5 sets of extra batteries for the Sony ZV-1 because it dies relatively quickly. I think I can do about 30 minutes on one battery. And often I don't just record one video, but I record a whole bunch of videos at the same time. So that's what's in these 2 cases. I'm gonna put them to the side now, give myself a little bit more space and talk about the rest of my stuff, because this is where my event bag comes in. This is just like a backpack or whatever that I use for school. Main important thing here, honestly, the Bite Me studio would not exist without it, is of course my laptop. This is what I work off most of the time, honestly. I do have a desktop PC, but I'm often, for example, when I'm moving around to go to these events, I need to edit videos right then. Let me put this back down again. I've made a video about this before. It's upside down. It's the ASUS ProArt Studiobook. This is the H5600, I think. It's the AMD Ryzen 5 series version. I upgraded it to 32 GB of RAM. I made a video about it like 1.5 years ago at this point. I like this laptop. It's a little bit on the lower powered side. It's an RTX 3060, and then yeah, the 8-core Ryzen CPU with 32 gigs of RAM. It's okay. I looked at the newer ProArts. They look very interesting. They look honestly like bigger upgrades, but they've gone up in price from 2,000 to 3,000, which is just not worth it. We recently bought new laptops, or like recently at this point, it's been 8 months or something. We bought laptops for the other 2 people of the Bite Me team, Thomas and William. We did not get them ProArts. We got them Lenovo Legions, like gaming laptops, which like pretty good. Honestly, they've been holding up pretty well. You've probably seen it in our Byte stream. Laptop is very important. Now, what else do I have? I have these 2 little boxes that are very unclear, because as you saw, I have, oh, that one flew away. I have 2 microphones, but I do not actually use these that much anymore. These are not my main mics anymore. I use them now as like backups or standbys, or if I need like more battery. What I did instead is I upgraded to these, which are the Rode Wireless Pros. Now, why did I do that? One reason basically. I went to Gamescom last year, and the problem is it's an event. And events are very loud, people scream into your microphone and all of that. And I talked about this as well on our trailer editing streams, for example, where if the sound goes too loud for like the audio codec basically, then you lose a lot of detail and the sound just sounds bad. And I was running into this problem with these microphones because Thomas also has no idea how a microphone works. He's a little bit of a monkey there, and he's way too loud and he blows out the audio and it just sounds bad. And once again, I really value good audio. So what these have, I'll pull them up again, is they have what's called 32-bit float recording, which basically means that they have extra data when they record like audio that you can scream into it and it will remain, like, it will keep all clarity. It's really good for that. So once again, they're very flexible. You could put them on this little stick here thing as well and do interviews with that. The thing is, of course, it's a little microphone in here, which is, it's all right, but I felt like, hey, we're getting sponsors now for Gamescom as well. By the way, maybe I should say this, if you're going to Gamescom or DevCon, probably mostly Gamescom, then if you see us, reach out. I want to meet up with you guys. We'll be walking around the conference basically the entire 3 days. So if you see us, don't be scared to come and say hi. We'll also be live streaming normally. If the internet allows it, we'll be doing an IRL stream on Wednesday. So stay tuned on that. We'll like walk you through the entire conference, probably for like a very long period of time. That is one thing we want to do as well. This little box, by the way, I didn't open this, is basically the accessories for the Rode Wireless Pro. So it gives you like the little wind muffs to screw on top of it, an extra lavalier mic, and then you have like these replacement arms where you can put them magnetically like true t-shirts. I've never used these, to be honest. I just do the clip-on style like this, but this is like an all-inclusive package. It's, I think I paid 300 euros for this, which once again, it sounds expensive, but especially at the scale our channel is operating, these are like expenses that I think we can justify. Another example of that is actually, I really love audio, like I said. I got this one just for Gamescom as well. This is the Rode Interview Pro. Basically, once again, the Pro signifies it has that 32-bit float recording, so I can scream into this and it doesn't die. This also has that little extra touch of professionalism. It has some extra features, like you can mute it, you can do recording from the thing here. So if I'm live streaming, for example, I can immediately cut the link through the like receiver. It's, once again, this was something probably we could have lived without. This was one that I was like, fuck it, I think we can get value out of this. I bought this. You do not need this at all. Like, this is just for event coverage because we're planning to go to more events. Like, we have the Gamescom DevCon, of course. We have Tokyo Game Show that we'll be going to in September. And who knows, probably a bunch of other game dev conferences as well, because I feel like that's something that we can do. Like, I ran into a few issues with Develop Brighton also because I was doing it all on my own as well. Like, I had my laptop, I had my microphones, I had the tripod and everything in this backpack. This backpack was the only thing I brought for 3 days basically. And it had all of the recording stuff, all of the camera stuff. So then it's really nice to have these smaller cameras and like very compact setups as well. What else do I have that's important? I use this. This is a, let me see if I can pull it up. This is a Remarkable. They sent one out a long time ago for like a sponsor or whatever. It's good stuff. I write down a lot of notes here. Honestly, most of the YouTube videos, I can actually show you just. I have this like giant document. I handwrite all of my scripts basically because I just get too distracted when writing scripts on my computer. So generally I just put them in the Remarkable. I like handwriting, so I use this as well. It's like my alternative. I don't really use tablets. I use this. You can put PDFs and everything on it. I read my books on it. So this is a very good replacement for me. I think one more honorable mention that honestly is the most important thing is this. This is my phone. It's a Google Pixel 7. I bought this phone with the explicit idea of I'm going to use this to make content as well, because I was looking at, I need a good high quality camera. It's like 4K. It has all of the image processing stuff. When I go to events, when I do solo and I do like the vlogs, often honestly I just use this because the stabilization is much better than this. This is good for A-roll footage if I'm like having a static, like a tripod for example. This is more for run and gun. I'm gonna walk around the conference and I'm gonna talk to you. If I'm going with multiple people, of course, I can just give this to Thomas and let him point it at me. But for solo, this is too much hassle. I've done a few videos where I've used this. I don't know if I have footage of it still. I use this honestly for most of the stuff because it takes good pictures, takes good videos and all of that really. I think this is honestly all of the main equipment that I use. Yeah, I got the batteries, I got the lenses. Sound is the most important thing by far if you're planning on starting a YouTube channel. Yeah, maybe a little bit more about the tripod. I didn't talk about that, but honestly, it's just a generic, or like not a generic, it's like a small rig, pretty compact tripod. It's nothing crazy. I bought it on Amazon once again for like 45 euros or something, and it just works. It's not bad. I also have a spare for like in case of emergencies or like traveling or I just need something small. I have a spare, like very cheap, like 15 euro tripod that basically falls apart when you look at it, but it's super lightweight, which is great to fit it just in a backpack or whatever. And it generally can still like work in a pinch, basically. It's not as bad. Oh, I actually just remembered, I forgot the most important thing, because all of this is cool and all of this, I get all of the recordings and I can edit it, but where do I store everything? I actually don't store anything on my computer, like because I do sometimes switch between desktop and laptop as well, or I want to like transfer files. I also have this, which is a SSD enclosure that I got, like NVMe SSD enclosure of Amazon. and it's a 4 terabyte NVMe SSD in it basically. And this single thing houses every single ByteMe video basically for the upcoming, I would say like 1.5 to 2 months, and depending on if I'm like traveling, I can't offload because it's 4 terabytes. This houses almost everything of the channel. 4 terabytes, you're like, oh my god, that's so crazy. Keep in mind, every video project that you see normally is about 50 gigabytes, or like, depends. It's at least 20, 25 when we do these events, for example. It's a lot more, it goes to 50. Tier lists go even larger. Some of our tier lists are 70 gigabytes. So you can fill this up pretty quickly, and especially keeping in mind that, hey, I save all of my footage. I do a backup. I have like a server that's like 27 terabytes, so everything is saved there as well. But this is like my fast storage. Very important, I think, especially in like the use case that we have. If you never leave your house, yeah, you don't need this, but if you're leaving the house, if you're working with other people, this can be really good because you never know, like, oh, is Windows gonna boot up? Because I have had that before, or suddenly my Wi-Fi didn't work and I basically couldn't work from this laptop. I still had an easy way to transfer all of my files. And I think that's pretty much all of the things I had to talk about. Am I looking for further upgrades? Not really. I think this is near end game. The only thing I would get, but that's just because it would be cool, is like a second camera. That's good because we do, like, I've done a few of those like interviews now where I sat down with a Japanese game studio, for example. I recorded that with this camera, and then I had like the little extra tripod and a phone mount, and then I had the second like camera shot, usually the one pointed at me, which was lower quality, with my phone. You can probably notice it. But that's a little bit of setup. I was hoping that maybe this can become my secondary camera and I can get like a, for example, an A7C II, but it's never gonna be worth it. It's like 2.5K for a camera, which honestly, I record these videos from like random places. I record these videos from my bedroom, from my couch or whatever. I don't need a 4K super crisp full frame camera. So this works more than fine enough. Anyways, this was probably not the video you were expecting. I normally talk about game dev, that's why this is also on a Sunday, because this is like a bonus fuck it video. I don't know how you felt about this, if there was anything interesting. If you have any questions about why all of this, if you have any questions more about, hey, why the road specifically, any other things, like I'm generally pretty dialed into like the tech scene. That's like my hobby. It's the only YouTube videos I really watch are like tech reviews and things like that. Then feel free to leave it in the comments down below. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching. I know it was a bit different. If you are new here and you're actually interested in game dev related stuff, because that's what we really do, that's what I use all of this equipment for, then head down below and subscribe, as it really helps me out. If this was like the video you needed to convince you. That's all I had to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!